Alrighty, Saturday afternoon, and Foxidized is sitting back outside after swapping out the steering rack and doing the filter in the transmission. Fluids and everything are topped up. It moves underneath its own power again. I did an alignment with the quick trick alignment, got all the tie rod ends adjusted and filled up the power steering reservoir, and everything seems to be good to go. I haven't really test driven it yet, but I know it shifts into drive into reverse and it moves. We'll see if it has any more luck in terms of hitting second gear and staying in second gear and not just skipping once we get some floors into this thing. So I've taken everything out because it was pretty much stockpiled with garbage in here. Well, garbage slash parts of the car. So the name of the game today, and it's kind of a good day to be outside moving around and welding. It's about 60 degrees. So we already have this main piece for here. I cut this section out here. So I'm going to be looking to grab that from the parts car, and then we will be cutting sections out of the parts car to fix over there. The reason why I didn't use a parts car on this side is I know the parts car has actually got some rust down and around this area. It is time to walk around to the side of the shop where the misfit toys are, aka ship box. Still need to figure out the brake issue on this car, and we have all of our goods out here. So we got the spare tire wall for Foxidized. That's going to be the last part to this whole equation, but for everything else, yeah, need to do some unloading. Some of this stuff is good, a lot of it is garbage, and I wish there was more room to stockpile this car, but there really isn't. Maybe we can use a satellite dish as like a bucket slash cradle, and I can stockpile the engine bay up some here. So I'll get creative with that, and we'll get this exposed so we can start cutting out what we need. Alright, there was way more shit in this car than I thought, but it's out. I got what was left of seatbelt assemblies unbolted, and the carpet can now come out. I did notice one thing. I don't know if this is from forklifts or what, but that floor is going to have to get smashed back down straight, most likely before we cut it out. And yeah, that's probably just from wrecker life, because this car did get saved from getting crushed. So I managed to actually get more stuff on the wrecked car here. So this guy is this one's going to be good for scrap. Hoping to get a couple $100 out of that. And we found some inner fenders, obviously we got a tilt column here and some other random stuff that I'll hang on to, and then something to add for the old burn pile. So I'm gonna go ahead now. Amazingly enough, this rug would probably be okay to clean, pressure wash, and dye and get a good black rug. I don't think there's any tears or anything in it. So just filthy. It's got all the old headliner or the old sound deadening from up underneath the headliner there. But that's it, guys. I'll pull this out and we'll see what types of metal we'll have access to. All right, guys, somewhere in there the GoPro died. Got a little too involved. You can see here remains of the old floor pan plus parts of the one out of the parts car. And this is what I've come up with. A nice gap here because, well, measure twice, cut once. And in reality, I forgot convertible rocker panels are thicker. So a standard Fox, the rocker is that wide. The convertible has this extra bubble right here, which meant holes for the seats, if I was going to try and use that floor pan, were too far over that way, so I had to cut it. So actually the same thing is going to have to happen with the piece of floor pan over there. And ultimately what's going to have to happen is probably some welding along the back side of the rocker from the underside up to the bottom there instead of up against, because normally it's tacked on here. So anyways, we're going to start from the inside of the car, and whatever we have to do underneath we can do once the car goes on a lift. So yeah, there's that crack that we had that's overlapped, so this will end up getting, we'll weld it, we'll get a piece in here and we'll weld everything, and I am honestly not concerned, guys. As long as this stays in here and we can bolt our seat down, I'm gonna be happy. So let's we're gonna clean some surfaces up a little bit more here, and we're gonna get to welding. All right, guys, so there we have it. We have a donor driver's side floor pan. Did a couple other little creative patches there, nothing crazy, because I am just going to like seam seal the living shit out of everything. I'm going to spray rust converter and everything in there first, let it do its thing, then seam seal, then probably rocker guard or whatever it is, so that way, honestly, the next time the floor is coming out, like, the floor is really gonna come out. So in the back here, and if I move these rear plastics, you'll be able to see more, but you can see there's not much going on in the back here, and I'm not sure if that's something, because here's the torque box, I think, or the inside portion. So I think that's the lower control arm there. Yeah. So yeah, I need to figure out what I'm going to do in there, but for now, and you can see it's just as bad on this side. And here's the frame, and again, guys, the frame is fine, so I'm not concerned about the torque boxes or anything. It's actually just the body of the car on the frame that's the issue. So look at that retractor, unreal. Anyways, guys, I'm going to try and get some of the passenger side done here, because it would be awesome to test fit some seats and make sure that we can actually get seats in the car. But that is looking a million times better over there. A little bit of effort, we're all good. Oh, all right, guys, we're working in the dark here, and I have got both driver's side and passenger side floor pans done as good as I care to have them. I actually went and got some replacement rocker panel sheet metal that I had, and managed to create a new back piece here and welded the back side of the floor pan up along that. A couple other little spots I need to touch up. No measuring tape, no fucks, just send it style attitude here, guys. I got one more piece up here that I'm gonna have to pull the sound deadener back here, and I just want to get a little bit more strength in this area, since this is where, you know, your seat is bolting to, essentially. So I just want to show you guys, in case I don't actually get this on film. Oh yeah, so here you can see it literally just kind of like rotted this little section out. In fact, if I have to cut this out and just replace this, I can get that off the parts car and you know, get a little bit more structural integrity here, if you will. Baby. Hello? Yeah.
Are you coming in for dinner?
Is it ready?
It's going to be ready soon, in like maybe 5 minutes.
Okay. I'll be in.
Okay.
Okay. Love you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So I just got to fix that up there. And then back here, another piece of rocker panel that I have bent out. I actually cut off. This is the bracket where the seatbelt retractor normally bolts to, and yeah, that's rotted and gone. So there is a big hole here. That's the easiest way to describe it, and I am just going to fill that hole up. You can see I drilled a couple holes here so I can get into the frame. Okay, so I'm going to sand that down a little bit more, tack weld that in place, and get it welded up there and down here. And we're gonna have to do the same thing over there, and that's going to be the extent of it. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to find something to do right there and right there. Yeah, well, this will be like a quilt, really, but you know what I mean. At least we'll try and keep the elements from getting inside the car, and we'll send it. All right, guys, it's the next day. Foxidized is back in the garage, and we're looking pretty damn good in here. See that? I've actually got I did some rust converter, did some rubberized undercoating. I do need to get some seam sealer, and then I'm going to do another coat of rubberized undercoat once we finish in here. And I wasn't going to do this, but then I'm like, you know what? I just want to get all the dirty work on this car done and over with. So I already pulled the gas tank. I ran this thing as low as possible. In fact, I actually ran out of fuel. I couldn't even move it in the shop. So I had to pour a little bit of gas in it just to get it in here. And right now, going to go ahead. So we're going to reuse this guy here. So we got to get all this old scabby metal off. And then there's another one. Might as well take my drill down here with me. And you can see there's the donor spare tire wall right there that I cut out of the crash car. I still got to get that fuel pump off the side. So right here, this is all reinforcement. So I'm going to drill off these spot welds right here, and then I'll drill off whatever is still left there. It'll probably just chisel off in reality. And then this, we're just gonna end up cutting, all right? And kind of lining up with respect to the other one. So the other one over there, I cut right through that with the Sawzall. So same thing, I'll drill the other one off so that way we can spot weld this guy back on. We'll spot weld that back on. That one rotted, you know, right around, and this part is actually fine here, so be able to drill a hole or two and spot weld that on, and things will be pretty good in here. can see here, you can see where we drilled off the spot welds. That's what we're trying to line up there. Of course, over here, we're trying to line up that stuff as best as we can. And then same thing here, right? So now we're just gonna try and move stuff into positions. It's not gonna be 100%, guys, because we have moved all of this stuff outward so that we could slide this pan in from above. So again, we're not trying to achieve perfection, we're trying to achieve functionality. We now have a spare tire well. Look at that. So got everything tack welded into place as much as I want it to be, and tried to clean up some of that surface scale that was at the bottom side of this trunk pan. Gonna shoot some primer over the welds and the bare metal, and then I'm gonna spray some rubberized undercoat on top of everything. I'm gonna leave the trap door here for the fuel pump. I'll probably just put a piece of kill mat or something that'll be easily, you know, removable or whatever else. Really don't care. But the importance of this is to make sure that obviously our gas tank can be secured and that the straps are going to work. And you can see some of the remnants sitting there, and you can see here, so there's the old spare tire well, and here's our new one. And you can see, as this isn't the prettiest stuff, especially when you're welding underneath the car here, it's just made to work, like I said before. And you can see, right, the frame rails, everything underneath this car are actually really clean. It's really just, you know, the stuff from the inside of the car that managed to rust its way out. You can actually see some of my floor repairs down over there and there. So the car does need to go in a lift. We need to bolt on our Flowmaster dumps, and also probably do a couple tack welds from underneath the car. And other than that, she's going to be good for the road. All right, guys, you can see the sun is going down, and I am fighting a little bit of daylight that I have left here. And just going through and getting some seam sealer on the seams. I've done all underneath here, kind of all up in the cracks there. And then I'm going to hit all that with hit that with some rubberized undercoat on top, and then I'll be able to put the gas tank back in. Nothing too crazy, it's just sort of like caulking your I don't know, your bathtub or your around your sink. So the nice thing about it drying quick is that we'll be able to spray our undercoat on it. And guys, if your seam sealer is ever too thick, can actually, or one nice way to make it look like factory is get a paintbrush with a little bit of thinner on it and brush it with the thinner, and it'll turn out real nice. Of course, that's not what we're after here. So in case you guys are wondering what the floor looks like now, you can see no more open air conditioning underneath here, and there will never be rear lap belts in the back here anymore, because that is all welded and patched up over. I cut as much of the so-called car cancer as I could out of this thing. So you can see this is all patched and fixed up, so this is all looking good. Alrighty guys, we have the floors welded up, spare tire well welded up. We have the fuel tank reinstalled and all connected. We have our seat tracks welded to the brackets that were custom made on the bottom sides of those Recaros, as you can see here. So I just cut the old tracks off and welded my tracks on, and that is pretty much it. I've test fit them. I know they fit, so it's time to put the interior back in this thing. So I'm super excited about that. Once the interior is in, then what's left? I need to bleed the brakes again, because the last bleeding was when I used a 4x4 in the seat trying to do it myself. So do a proper brake bleed, and that should be pretty much it. Other than I want to do get some LED bulbs in the cluster so that the cluster looks nice and shiny and bright. I went ahead and I'd pulled the door panels off because I put a door handle on the passenger side. The little plastic clips on the rod mechanisms were all shattered, probably from Florida heat everywhere. So I replaced all those. So door locks do what they're supposed to do. The door handles all do what they're supposed to do. And I upgraded and I put some Pioneer speakers, used Pioneer speakers that I had laying around, and also took a razor blade to all the glass, which the glass just not perfect yet. I still need to put a little bit more elbow grease, but actually be able to see out of this, although this windshield is cracked up pretty bad. But with that said, I'm gonna pull this Recaro out. It was just in there just to make sure that the tracks were lining up with where they need to be, which they are. So that's pretty much it, guys. Go grab the carpet and console, all that other stuff, and start jamming this interior back together.
Let Dustin bring mine and I'll just take that.